Season 4 of The Boys is more than halfway done now, players. The penultimate season till the final season 5. Things started a tad slow, but we're picking up speed now. We got people dying, we got people coming back to life, and some that are getting just a little too excited. But we might just have gotten one of the best episodes of The Boys in episode 4. And episode 5, Simon Pegg absolutely steals the show. We got a lot to discuss. My mind is swimming with predictions for the rest of the season, so let's get into it. Episode 4 starts with such an amazing buildup of tension with what we know is Homelander going back home, the place he was raised, or more so experimented on growing up. Just the suspense from watching the elevator lights go on and off until it finally reaches the last floor. The elevator doors open, and we all know it's coming, but not quite in which way it will come. The whole episode, Homelander is down here seeking retribution from the people that essentially tortured him growing up just because they were doing their jobs, they said. Figures. But essentially, Homelander is trying to remove the part of him that is still human and craves love, so he is just playing with his food for the whole entire episode. Anthony Starr is just on another level. I really need to see him in bigger things. I fully intend on watching Banshee now. This was such an incredible performance. Just the way he sells every emotion, the frustration and anger, and the quickness with which the emotions change or escalates. How he hasn't won an award yet is beyond me. As we are down here, we understand why Homelander is the way he is. He's a monster because of how he was raised as a test subject and tortured without any care as to how he felt. They viewed him as a product and not a person, so he turned into a monster who doesn't value human life at all. Like they didn't value his. He doesn't even value his own, as he rejects and supplants his humanity with some form of godism. I've always said that Homelander is not acceptable but understandable, and I think we've reached newer depths of understanding for him even now in this 4th season, which is incredible. And my god, that laugh is absolutely diabolical. Okay, it's straight up an A1 Joker laugh. Lots of people were throwing that around with this episode and fan casting him, and I get it, it can be cringe fan casting Joker off of a laugh, but realistically it's Anthony Starr. He could probably kill any role he was given, so I wouldn't complain too much if that was ever the case. We also learned that the people that raised Homelander knew they couldn't physically do anything to stop him, so they intentionally brought in all the top psychologists in the world to deeply implant that need for love within him, so that if he ever left or got out of line, that need would kick in and he would be too fearful to disappoint them to do anything but obey. Wicked shit. I suppose that's how you get one of the hardest images of all time. Now, of course, Homelander is always, for the most part, going to be the most exciting part of an episode, but we got more developments elsewhere with Starlight trying to get Singer's anti-suit bill passed by promising to get people out on the streets to demand it to be passed, which would bring Vought to their knees. But Starlight gets aired out by Firecracker for blinding a woman during an early career save, but never facing any repercussions after that, and then getting her medical records shown of her getting an abortion, which I think for most women is a pretty sensitive matter, okay? This is all following even Firecracker getting outed as a PDF file, okay? Which apparently she was fully chill with and ready to spin as soon as Butcher threatened her with it. Again, more wicked work. This obviously causes Annie to snap, giving Firecracker, well, an ass beating, which although plenty justified makes people not trust Starlight, which tanks her deal with Singer. During this escapade and throughout the episode, we see the toll Temp V is taking on Butcher as he takes a little spill in the bathtub, which we've all been there before. But then we see whatever parasite is inside of him working its way around his body, and then his hallucination of Becca helping him push through in these moments of strife, which later on we see Butcher confront Ezekiel, and it seems the worm parasite comes out to play and absolutely mangles Ezekiel, like gruesomely eviscerates his body, which we'll talk about more for episode 5. But apart from that, Butcher pleads with MM to take care of Ryan if he dies before he can get him away from Homelander. His day-to-day condition is just getting worse, so he's accepting he might not make it in time to save Ryan. It's looking quite grim for Butcher, and as far as MM goes, he's just trying to keep things together as he is the glue for the team, as he always has been. Then Huey is pretty much the next biggest part of the episode, with him getting desperate enough to meet with A-Train to ask him for Compound V for his father, with the incentive of actually forgiving A-Train for everything now, which you already know A-Train is worthy of that redemption now, because season 1 A-Train would have laughed in Huey's face, and now he's the total mirror opposite in season 4. The character arc of this man, okay, when it's all said and done, is going to be one of the best arcs ever. I can honestly see him fighting Homelander at super speed, not only to save Huey and or potentially civilians, but we would also get to see Homelander super speed, and I think that would be fucking awesome. Kimiko ended up tagging along with Huey for this little excursion, and the Shining Light Cell tell was actually after her, and we find out Kimiko might have a darker past to contend with in a different angle that we could have expected. I'm excited to see how they play this angle of Kimiko being not so innocent as we might have once thought. The episode ends with A-Train getting the V for Huey, us finding out Butcher took some Compound V, but it made his condition worse, and then we see after Huey decided not to use it on his father, the V entering the IV and him waking up. Apart from that, the Deep and Sage bang again. You know, he's so Zoolander coded, man, I love it. But that lobotomy scene was unsettling as hell. So when episode 5 rolls around, we get pretty much confirmation that Huey's mom is in fact real, and we get Huey Sr. back from the dead. Now, Huey's happy, of course, but he confronts his father about the whole power of attorney to his mother thing, to which we get a little story time of younger Huey not wanting to let his cat Jar Jar die, and so the cat suffered until he met his eventual end, which is probably the most Sigma way you can die, shitting blood. So Big Huey didn't want to meet the same fate, so he knew the mother of his child would be the only one strong enough to pull the plug. Ain't that a bitch? So this is when the evil part of the V kicks in and starts corrupting Hugh's mind and erasing his memories, and then his powers kick in, which I like that they were similar to Huey's, but he goes on this crazy confused rampage forgetting who or where or when he is, and he's phasing through people, and it's just absolutely terrifying and gruesome, and his anger towards Daphne for leaving him and Huey is basically revived. It ends with Huey getting to leave things on actual good terms after he'd been ignoring his father for so long, and even though it's not the most pleasant of ways to go, like his dad would have just left Earth, you know, a pretty decent man, but he kind of killed a bunch of people in the short time that he had left, and Simon Pegg's performance was just insane, like the tears welling up in his eyes, just the emotion that was conveyed, so damn good. Like legit, this is the only time where Anthony Starr is in an episode and he is not the greatest thing in it. And although Homelander's time in here is limited, he still has great moments with Ryan, especially after he went back home. He is back to reality with this alarming calm. It's not quite childlike whimsy he displays when he's playing with his food. It feels like after the last episode, he directs that need, love, and approval from external forces and puts that all on Ryan. So as long as Ryan loves him and is not disappointed in him, then he will be content. But I don't think that's gonna really happen for too long. Like, it was nice seeing wholesome moments with him and Ryan, or even just ones where they're being a bit sadistic, what with helping that woman get revenge from Bork, but I can totally see a couple different things breaking that by the end of the season. Like, what about if Ryan finds out what Homelander did to his mother? That's not gonna end well, and that'll for sure remove the last bit of sanity left in Homelander if Ryan starts actually hating him. I'm also thinking, instead of him getting the virus, what if Ryan got it instead? I wonder what kind of effect that would have on Homelander if Ryan got sick and maybe he didn't make it, or even, I'm pretty sure Firecracker and Homelander are gonna be a thing, right? She's gonna take that medicine to breastfeed him more than likely. I'd wager is what we're gonna see in this next episode, but I can actually see her setting her eyes on Ryan, who is currently 12, which is right up her alley, right? Which could cause Homelander to have one of those moments where father mode is turned on and he actually does something, like a good thing that you're rooting for, in this case killing Firecracker. Something's gotta give though, whether it be any of that or even all of that. Maybe even they bust Soldier Boy out and depower him. They got Jensen Ackles to show up in Gen V. I doubt they wouldn't have him come back for season 4 and 5 for that matter. He's such like an all-time favorite. The next biggest part of episode 5 is the boys, sans Huey, go to what is essentially a farm V. You know, they do this with the help of Stan Edgar, who they free from prison. Head to the farm, has to bring the goat. That's just excellent marketing. But they go to this farm where the virus should be located, and we do get to peel back the layers with Stan Edgar a bit. We still see he cares for Victoria Newman and views her as his daughter and Chloe as his granddaughter. And so when he hears that Chloe was taking Compound V, that pretty much activates them. And these are the people that get the fire burning within the otherwise composed Stan Edgar. And so when they arrive to a broken lab, we get a sweet little moment with Butcher releasing a bunny, probably seeing, you know, a little bit of himself in, you know, Mr. Fuzzy Buzzy over here. But Victoria actually comes through and has a pretty sick entrance where she flexes that I got you in my crosshair, mofos, don't try anything, with the nosebleeds. Essentially, they track down a scientist named Samir, who has, as of recently, become my main op for being the husband of Newman. Okay, you hate to see others living your dream. I know I do. Mando reunion much? But basically, he says that all the samples of the virus are gone after the lab was destroyed, except this one that I have right here. They have to use it to escape the flying Compound V sheep, and they're able to, but upon leaving, it seems Samir is missing, only finding his severed leg remaining, which sends Newman in a tizzy. But that's because Butcher has him captured and is probably gonna force his ass to create another virus, maybe even a stronger one, which I wonder if Butcher got a glimpse of what's happening to him with, you know, Fuzzy Buzzy being overtaken by the parasite. I wonder what effect that parasite would have gotten from the compound V that he took. Like, is this some new super V'd out parasite that he has? I mean, what does that thing look like in a fight with Homelander? Could Soldier Boy's beam actually cure Butcher, or is he doomed to sulk around like Arthur Morgan for the remaining season? Because time is ticking and something big is going to happen and chess pieces are going to get taken off the board. Apart from the V'd up animals, we did have some pretty good moments with Frenchie. To be real, he finally admitted to killing Colin's family, and so he is even more guilt-ridden than before. So he turns to his religion, which I thought was quite nice. He had a pretty good moment with Annie at the farm about their belief in God, and even though the sentiment was pretty much that forgiveness of sins is bullshit, I like the idea that although the worst things can happen to a person, that they don't lose their hope. The show is very apparent in its display of a cruel and gruesome world these characters occupy, and to face all of that and still believe in some greater good is kind of awesome. It's very Berserk coded, if I do say so myself, but he ends up turning himself in, so Frenchie will probably be disposed as of the next episode. Besides the show taking shots at the MCU and parodying the announcement of the slates, which was pretty good, we got Sam and Kate from Gen V showing up. They are, I'm assuming, going to be part of the 7 or the 8 and are totally on board with the anti-human message from Homelander, and Homelander letting them know they will now start being wrathful gods instead of celebrities. And it was looking like it was up for A-Train when Homelander said let's plug the leak, but it looks like Ashley ended up following through on her alliance with A-Train and she pinned the leak on Cameron Coleman. To think this was all made possible because of a dump. But yeah, I'm curious, are we going to see Marie, Emma, and Jordan come through and help our protagonists? I could totally see Marie taking down Victoria. We're halfway through the season. I think it's still quite solid, even if a bit slow. So The Boys season 4 remains a solid 8.5 out of 10. But let me know what y'all are thinking about season 4 so far. Give me any predictions you have for the end. I'm all ears on that. But that's pretty much it. If you liked the video, leave me a thumbs up, comment down below, and if you want to subscribe, I always appreciate it. Thank you guys so much for watching. I hope all of you guys are well, and I will see you in the next one.